Let's travel back in time, shall we? Back to 1989. It was a year that felt like the world was literally cracking wide open. And right in the middle of all that change, one speaker used the events of the day as this incredible metaphor to try and define one of the biggest, most profound concepts there is: love.
So picture this. It's November 1989, the Berlin Wall, this massive, ugly scar of concrete and barbed wire that symbolized division for decades. It's finally coming down. It had split families, a city, a whole nation right in two. And now you've got people just flooding through from both sides. The emotion is just unbelievable.
The speaker who gave this speech was watching all this on TV, just like millions of others. But he didn't just see a political moment. He saw something much, much deeper. He looked into the faces of these people, crying, laughing, hugging strangers, and he felt he was seeing the very essence of love in action.
And that single observation is what leads him to a central point, that the physical wall in Berlin, it was really just a symbol for a conflict that happens inside every single one of us. He calls it the two forces within.
Okay, so here's the idea. He says there are two fundamental forces that are constantly at war inside our hearts. On one side, you have love. And for him, love is the force that binds us, that connects us, that unites everyone and everything. But on the other side, you have its total opposite, a force of exclusion. This is the force that builds walls, that cuts ties, that separates us based on our beliefs, our prejudices, whatever. And this is where it gets personal, right? The speaker basically turns the question back on us, asking us to look inside ourselves. Which of these two forces are we letting call the shots? What are the invisible walls we're building in our own lives, and who or what are they really for?
So, you might be thinking, okay, that's a nice philosophy, but where did he get all this? Well, he's very clear that it didn't come from a book or some intellectual exercise. He claims it came from what he calls a message from beyond, a direct line of contact. You know, he actually describes himself as being a bit of a skeptic before 1981. He thought, yeah, maybe a spiritual world exists, but it was just a vague idea, a possibility. And then everything changed. On March 23, 1981, he says he got his first direct message from that world. And that contact, he claims, continued nonstop for the next 8 years.
And this is absolutely crucial to understanding his perspective. After these experiences, his belief wasn't at 50%, it wasn't even at 99%. For him, the existence of a spiritual world became an undeniable 100% fact, an absolute, total reality. He frames his entire message not as some story he made up, but as a truth that his own conscience won't let him deny. He's basically saying, look, this is what I know to be true, and to say otherwise would be a lie. That's the level of conviction he's speaking with.
So, what is this other world he says he contacted? He describes it not as some far-off, distant place, but as a realm of unseen love, just filled with beings who are constantly giving us their support.
He says this world is populated by our own guardian spirits, by higher guiding spirits, and even our ancestors. And get this, he also calls them the most refined versions of ourselves. It's like our own best potential, already existing as these distinct beings. But the one thing they all have in common? They love us, unconditionally.
And according to the speaker, these beings aren't just watching from the sidelines. No, they are with us every second, day and night. They feel our sadness as if it's their own, and they celebrate our joys. He compares it to a parent watching their child, just always wanting the best for them, even when the child has no idea they're even there.
And this brings everything full circle, right? Back to the Berlin Wall. The speaker says that the freedom that wall represented is the greatest gift humanity has ever been given. But it's a gift that comes with a serious responsibility, what he calls freedom's duty. So his argument is that this incredible freedom we have comes with a profound duty. And what is that duty? It's to be happy. But he doesn't mean just chasing pleasure. No, this is about achieving a deep inner happiness by mastering our own hearts and minds. So how do you do that? How do we live up to this duty? Well, he lays out a really clear, practical path. It starts with self-reflection, looking at your past to fix your own flawed ways of thinking. Then it's about taking responsibility, apologizing for what you've done wrong. And finally, it all comes down to learning to control your own heart.
And there it is. This is what he means by infinite love. It's this perfect, beautiful balance. On one hand, you have the divine gift of total freedom to choose your own way, and on the other, you have the power of self-reflection to fix your mistakes along the way. It's a system that's literally designed for us to learn, to grow, and ultimately, to be happy.
So in the end, the fall of a real physical wall back in 1989 becomes this powerful metaphor for a deep spiritual truth. And it all boils down to one final question that's meant for every single one of us.